Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of CroomTalk. I was going to say we have a special guest, but I got to figure out something different. But we also have a back-to-back champion in the house, Ian MacKay.
What's up? How we doing?
We're good. Well, how are you doing?
I'm good. Slowly coming back, getting a little less hungover each day. My voice is starting to come back, but still in awe of what happened this weekend.
And you really have like a very short turnaround because you have to go and play for Chaos right away.
Yeah, I'm going drive back to Albany on Saturday, and I'm there for a week for training camp, and then we play June 2nd, I believe, Sunday afternoon. So right back into it.
So what is that schedule like? Do you get to come back home, or do you kind of just stay with the team the whole time?
Yeah, so it's just like it's similar to like the PGA Tour, where every team is in the same city each weekend. So during the week, I'll be back home training. I'm living in Buffalo, doing my normal weekly things and golfing, basically. And then fly out either Thursday, Friday, play Saturday or Sunday, and then fly back Sunday afternoon usually, and right back to it.
You feel like it's more laid back from like the NLL, or do you feel like it's just the same?
Intensity-wise, like when you're playing, it's still the same. Like it's still professional lacrosse. So like once you strap up and you're playing, you're trying to win a championship and win that game. And so the intensity is the same. I would say it's different though because of the touring aspect. Like you're not inside in an arena like you are in Buffalo and Banditland and 20,000 people. Like I don't think anywhere will ever match that. But like you're in a stadium where there's not just for us being Chaos red jerseys. There's every team's jerseys because like you're buying a weekend pass, you're watching multiple games. It's kind of it's fans of teams, but it's mainly lacrosse fans at games. But they just switched to a city model, or at least assigning cities to teams. So like we're the Carolina Chaos now. So when we play in Carolina, we'll have back-to-back games that weekend, and eventually that'll be our home, and we'll play home and away games and do conferences and that kind of thing. I don't know how far away that is, but that's in the future though.
Do you have to like, kind of switch up how you play because the game's played differently?
Yeah, I mean, I play a similar role. Like I'm a D-midi, but I like to try to play similar to the way I play with Buffalo, kind of like that transition role. So, and that's kind of how field lacrosse is going, having two-way middies. So primarily I go out and play defense, and then if I get the ball in a clear or off a loose ball or something like that, I'll push the ball up and stay in play. If we get like an offensive midi stuck on the field, someone who like we think we can take advantage of and get a good scoring opportunity. So I try to play kind of similar to what I do here in Buffalo, but I mean it's got its differences as well.
Does it take a while to get in a routine with different teammates now that you're kind of pretty much switching team to a whole different group of guys?
So this year is going to be like real different because in the past, we've had between the Bandits and the Chaos, it's myself, Josh, Dane, Chris Kluche, Chase Fraser. Max Adler was on both teams at one point. So we had a lot of guys and a lot of similarities. This year, it's just Josh and I.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I mean, we have a whole new offense on our team this year because we lost a ton of, not just the Buffalo guys, like Ryan Smith, he plays for Rochester in the NLL. He's not coming back. So there's like 4 or 5 new guys on offense. Our defense is pretty much the same. So I'll be comfortable with those guys. I played with them for 3 years, won a championship with those guys. But on the offensive side of the ball, it'll be a lot of different guys. But the rules and, being outdoors, like not being in a box, like if you shoot or you miss a pass or something and it rolls out of bounds, you lose the ball. Whereas in box, like it's just hitting the boards and you're going to battle for a loose ball. So those kind of things, like the decision making takes a little bit, but we'll have training camp. Like in the past, it's kind of a humble brag, but we haven't been to training camp in 3 years because we've been in the NLL finals. So this is the first year we'll be at training camp, which I think is a good thing because we'll be able to, kind of iron those things out early on instead of 3 games into the season and showing up a third of the way into the year.
And do you feel like that's exactly what happened this year with the Bandits? Like, do you feel like it just took a while to kind of, get it together based off of how many new guys were coming in and leaving and coming in and leaving?
Yeah, 100%. Like not that it was like a revolving door, but we had guys who were injured. We had guys, we lost to free agency, young guys coming in. So it definitely took a while to get comfortable, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think our offense is basically the same the last couple of years, but bring guys in. Vino was hurt at one point this year, and we were kind of going through a couple different goalies and trying to figure it out there. So it was definitely. I mean, I think at one point we were 5-6 and battling for a playoff spot. So it took a little longer than I'm sure we would have liked, but I think it was a good thing for us. Like, we faced a ton of adversity that we haven't in the past, and I think if we didn't do that, we don't end up winning a championship this year.
Do you feel like there was a point where you guys were like, we're not going to be the team that we want to be? Or was it always like, let's just prove to ourselves that we can be?
Yeah, I think it was more just trying to prove to ourselves and not like lose any belief. Like, there was definitely frustrations throughout the year and conversations, between coach and player. I'm sure coaches had conversations, players having conversations, trying to figure out, what wasn't working for us because, we were losing games and we haven't been used to that. So it was just kind of trying to stick to the game plan, but figure out the best game plan at the same time. And, I think obviously we hit our stride at the right time.
Do you feel like your back, you feel like would be against the wall as soon as the season starts because you guys are the target for everybody else? But as you guys start to kind of become inconsistent and not winning as consistently as you're used to, do you feel like that target just gets bigger? Or do you feel like people already kind of wrote you guys off?
I don't think the target got bigger by any means. I think if anything, we kind of started to slide through the cracks a little bit, and it gave other teams the opportunity to kind of jump us, not only in the standings, but in the lacrosse media and lacrosse personalities, everyone who talks about the NLL. I think not that they lost sight of us, but it allowed them to talk about other teams, and other teams were in a better position than us. Like you look at Toronto, they're first in the league this year and had one of the most successful seasons in NL history. So, but it's almost kind of nice to fall through the cracks a little bit because, I mean, not that you don't want pressure, you don't want people talking about you, but it kind of allowed us to, worry about ourselves and kind of block out that excess noise because there wasn't necessarily as much all season. So I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing for us.
At what point in the season do you feel like you would say would be the turning point to where you guys really kind of started to click?
Actually, I did media with Kyle Buchanan after the game, and he was asked a very similar question, and I agreed with him. It was our loss in Vancouver. Because I don't know what that put us at record-wise. That might have been the 5-6, but it was just, you could tell that the frustrations were kind of hitting a boiling point, and it was not panic, but it was like, okay, we're a good chunk of the way into the season here. We need to figure this out, because if we don't, then we're not going to be in the playoffs. And at that point, what didn't matter where we were seeding-wise, it was just getting to the playoffs, and we'll figure it out from there. And I think, I remember Steve Priolo being really animated in the locker room afterwards and frustrated and pissed off. And, I don't remember exactly how that game went other than the fact that we lost. But you go into every game thinking you're going to win. And when you lose, and, you see your leader being that pissed off and that mad, you can feel mad and pissed off too. But when you see your leader doing that, you're following suit and you want to figure out what's going on and try to find ways to win.
So I know you're a very superstitious guy, and obviously we talked about it, more than people probably could even understand. The things that the ladders we had to climb behind the scenes just to keep it on the right track. But obviously you have a specific game day routine and things like that. And I know we spoke about it. As far as the last day, you stopped posting game day stuff. And at what game were you like, no, I'm not going to post this week?
I don't even know. I don't remember exactly what game it was, but it's being a professional lacrosse player is very unique because you're playing a team sport, but it's a lot of like personal brand building at the same time. Because it's not like an NHL, NFL, like that kind of thing. We're not making millions of dollars. We're not getting endorsed by all these big name companies. So you're trying to build your brand a bunch. And so I kind of took that approach this year a little bit early on with trying to be more creative with social media and trying to post different things, promoting game day, whether it's just a story or something on my feed. And it didn't take away from from my job and my end goal of preparing for a game or anything, but it was just something where, I didn't do it one game and I think we won. So it's just like, that's how my brain works. Is like, all right, I guess we won. I can't do it anymore. So just kind of ran with it, and guess it kind of worked out.
Yeah, and then after like learning how like strict like your daily routine is, especially on game day, and then we're shooting the day in the life, or the week in the life rather, and we're on game day, and I'm just like, this is gonna be the most awkward car ride I've ever been in, because I didn't want to ruin anything. I didn't want to say anything. I was just gonna be like a fly on the wall. And I'm in my head the whole time. I'm like, I hope we win today, because if not, it'll like kind of just break everything. Like, dude, I don't think you should text me, on game days, So thankfully that became a thing. But I actually I've always been like superstitious in my own way too. But like I would always like wear different shoes to the games. And then I found a pair of shoes that I would wear that you guys would win every game. And that also transferred into my whole entire outfit. I'd have to wear the same shirt, same whole get up.
Same thing, yeah. It's crazy how it works. Like, whether like it's the same thing. Like I drive a certain way to the game. Like, I never, because we go down to Impact almost every day during the week, and I take like the 33 there because it's faster. But on game day, like I'll go down Elmwood because that's just what I do. And like I think started happening 2 years ago. We lost when I went down to 33, went back down Elmwood, we won, and I've only ever gone that way since. So. But it's like weird in reverse. If you lose, you still revert back to like doing that. Yeah. Because like it's what you know, and like it feels almost too crazy to try something new to like change it up. But we're just messed up in our head a little bit, athletes.
For sure. So you guys finally kind of get into a good stride, and still to get into playoffs, you were still kind of like, we need other stuff to happen for us to even be in the spot. And then you guys go undefeated and win the championship, let alone beat an Albany team that beat you guys both times this year. Though you didn't have Vino, which obviously showed itself during that game. But, we talked a few times about, manifesting things like the whole week in the life thing. Like, dude, it'd be sick if like it just led up to like a victory. And, we didn't want to counter-check before the hatch, but that ended up coming to fruition. Then it's like, it'd be sick, like, if you guys end up winning on the road and then you guys get the championship game here. The next thing you guys win on the road. And like, dude, you're playing for a championship at home, and then you guys win the championship at home. It's just like, how important do you feel like self-manifestation is?
Yeah, I think it's very important, whether you're like out there and vocal about it, or even if you're just like thinking about things in your own mind. And it's, it's something that I've done for a while now internally, since college, because like I sat out my senior year with a broken foot, and then I started seeing a sports psychologist my 5th year. Not that because I was necessarily going through anything, but I figured why not like just make the transition from a huge injury I've never had before and had to deal with, and get back on the field. And that's kind of where the superstition thing kicks in. He was like, you got too much going on, because if one thing doesn't happen, it's going to mess everything up. You're going to go into the game with a negative energy, all that. So like the manifestation part of it, like the visualization I do when I go sit up in the crowd is, I listen to a song. It's kind of a high tempo, high beat song, gets me pumped up. And then I listen to the Tragically Hip, the next song, and it like calms me down, mellows me out. And I find that it finds that happy medium for me. But then I'm looking at the field and I'm, visualizing and manifesting things that are going to happen in the game. Like a face-off is going to happen. Like where the ball is going to pop out, who's going to win it. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but you can manifest and visualize running through a loose ball, picking it up, taking it to the offensive side of the floor. Vino making a save and trying to get like a breakaway and seeing yourself score the goal and celebrating with your teammates and running off the floor. Like I do all those things every time before a game. So, I'm a big believer in it and talking through those things, whether it's with someone or in your own head or whatever it may be, I'm definitely a big believer in it.
So like obviously everybody got to see the day in the life and all the way up to
If you
game
haven't,
day.
go watch it.
Yeah, for sure. Link to his YouTube will be down below. But like everybody got to see like to the game day, and obviously there's only so much I can get access to on game day. But talk me through game day as soon as you walk through the security and go into the locker room, because there's times where you'll go out to the field 3 or 4 times and go back and come back out and go back in. Like what is that process?
I was wondering if you would ever catch on to that, how many times I come back out, but
I catch everything.
So once I get to the rink and I get back to the locker room, I always send my girlfriend Sarah a text, and then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb so I don't see anything else coming through, because I'll still have my phone on me for listening to music. I'll put headphones in. I'll grab tape. I go out, sit in the crowd, same spot, home games. And on the road, I try to get the same area. It's not, obviously every arena is a different setup, but I'm usually behind the bench, and I go opposite. I go all the way to the top. I go 4 rows down, 4 rows in, because I'm number 4. Listen to the song, tape my stick, listen to the song with my eyes closed. And then once that song's over, I put on the Tragically Hip, start manifesting and visualizing the different things I'm going to try and do in a game. Once that song's done, then I go back into the locker room and I run the music in the locker room. So that's part of why I get there so early on home games, so that by the time I get back there's only maybe 2 or 3 guys in the locker room. So I connect to the speaker. And then from there on, it's a little bit more relaxed. I'm a little bit more chill and talking to guys and messing around. I'll go out and I stretch, have the same stretching routine that I go through. And then from there, I drink BioSteel. So I make 2 BioSteel drinks, one for before the game and one at halftime. And then I kind of go back and forth out shooting. And the amount of times I go out and back in, just more so I'm not trying to sweat like crazy and waste all my energy, but I also can't just go sit down. So like I'll go shoot for a bit, and then once I feel like pretty warm, I'll go back in, I'll sit for a little bit, talk to I sit beside Kyle Buchanan in the locker room, so I'll chat with him for a bit or whatever. We got a big snack table with every snack possible, so I'm usually grabbing some Sour Patch Kids or Welch's fruit snacks, if you guys want to sponsor.
Yeah.
But I'll go back and forth, like I said, shooting, and then when we get ready for first warm up, we'll kind of get together, near the entrance to the floor, kind of back by the Sabres locker room, and I stand at the front. I fist bump everyone going through. Josh and I have a little handshake. Dane and I have something, and then it's on the floor to warm ups.
So warm ups, like when you're doing your stretching, what's with the glass tap?
Like the little knock.
Yep. Is it just like to know that you're there?
It's the same thing.
Like
it's
like,
just
like striking out your lap, like I did one.
I randomly did it like one game, and like I don't even notice that I do it anymore, to be honest. And like when I come back to that side, I always double tap the glass, and on the other side, I'll like body check the glass. I
seen Vino kind of has the same little thing that he does as well with the glass.
Does he? I have no idea. I just know when Vino always comes out later, and I always try to be the first one to yell like Vino, and then everyone else does it. And then he's a goalie, so
yeah,
God knows what he's doing and how many routines he has. But
is it crazy to like look at how everybody has like, you think like you have like a method to your madness, and every single else
oh my God,
has like the same thing?
Everyone's got something. Like if you watch Dane, like he goes out and tapes a stick on the bench. Yep. He's got to do certain things. Like even in warm-ups, like him and I are the last ones on the floor, and like I have to pass him the ball, it passes to me. First warm-ups, I have to score top left, and then I run off the floor. Second warm-ups, I score top right. Like it's each guy has their own thing, but then guys also have things with other guys,
Yeah.
whether it's like handshakes or like Dane runs around and body checks everyone in second warm-ups before we do 5-on-5. Like everyone's got their thing and crazy. Josh is stretching like right up to the last second before we go on the floor. It's everyone's got something.
It's pretty intense because like I try to realize like how much I need to stay away because it's like even when you guys walk in, it's like Dane will sometimes say what's up, but it's like you just tell like like Josh has never said anything to me ever walking in. He like would walk in like I don't exist. Like he'd never seen me before, but he'll obviously stare at the camera and do his little posy pose. But it's funny because like a lot of the guys like Farrell will say what's up, Kyle will say what's up, Dane will say what's up sometimes, but like you can tell like when things are just like when guys get locked in, like, and it's funny because I've actually seen it, like I wouldn't say throw anybody off, but like I know when like Josh comes in, he's like so set on like just kind of beelining, his headphones are in, he don't like to talk, and a lot of times like the security likes to talk, and like I could see like where it would frustrate a lot of people. Like Dane gets it a lot. I feel like people stop Dane more than anybody, and he's pulling out on AirPod, like, and you can tell they're just kind of locked in. So I feel like that throws it off. I just remember the one game, like Josh came in and like the whole Toronto team was there. Like, so he had to wait probably like 15 people to come through before he came in. And you could tell like when specific guys, like when they see like, oh, we're getting our picture taken, they'll come in together, but they'll like wait in line. Like they'll like, I'll wait for he gets his 8 steps and then I'll go. It's just like, I feel like I throw it off because like a lot of the times, at least the last couple of games, the camera people have been outside.
Right.
So then the guys are like, all right, let me focus. And just like, nope, I'm here. Yeah. And it's like, oh, we still got to kind of lock in. Like, I get it, but now it's like, I almost want to like just hide where you can't even see me just because I don't want to throw anything off. Like, I don't want to be the reason like something ever goes wrong.
It's wild too because like you look at Farrell, he's like, he says hi to you or whatever, and he's just like a happy-go-lucky, like goofy guy who like he knows when to lock it in and take it serious. But like for him to prepare for a game, like he doesn't care where cameras are or what's going on. Like he'll joke with you right up to the first face-off, and then it's like game face on. Whereas like other guys, it takes them, like me, where I'm there 3 hours before a game doing all these crazy things. Yeah. Like it's just wild how each guy has their own different method to their madness.
Well, it's like you, like we don't even really say anything either. If anything, it's probably the most awkward shit ever because we're just like hey, what's up? How are you? like we weren't just like filming something the other day or earlier. Like game day. We're just like, see ya. Even like, I mean, even like me, like kind of being there, it's just like like I've learned to where it's just like it's like I almost feel like I'm doing the same thing too. Like I feel like I kind of have like a little routine. Like I've been going to that same little spot, and like just kind of like I don't even take pictures really anymore as far as in the pregame. I just kind of stand there and just kind of like feel like I'm warming up with you guys, like just trying to lock in mentally, and like you'll see I'll make eye contact with a couple guys and just do like the little head nod and just kind of just keep it chugging. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I feel like I need a jersey and like a contract now.
We'll have to try and write something up.
I think we can.
Last time I was on here, we were talking about getting your credentials, and we made it happen. So
yeah, and I feel like
contracts next.
I feel like the amount of like networking that has come with that, as well as like growing into the space, as well as like kind of displaying the things that like we can bring to the table, because we talked about doing this. Like you said before, even like the whole like we went from like a day in the life to a week in the life. Yeah. And, we talked about doing that. We did it. And I just felt like it was very well received to where, like, my next goal is to, like, try to become, like, legit media to where, like, I don't have to worry about access or, like, not being able to do stuff. And I feel like I've done enough to show, like, what I do. Right. Especially I feel like I've also, shook the right hands and, like, made sure, like, the right people were taken care of, especially on the back end of people who kind of helped me. So, like, I think that going into the next year, I think I don't see where there would be an issue, especially, what I'm trying to do outside of the game and bring, fans a little closer to the athletes and stuff like that. So I think it's just a little different. And I think I'm pretty confident going into next year that we can probably upgrade a little bit in some aspect.
100%. I think like a big thing, not just for the Bandits, but lacrosse in general, is just like continuing to like get personalities out there and access. And I feel like lacrosse players were a lot more accessible than the NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA, all those guys. I mean, understandably so. Like when you're that high profile, you need to be a little harder to get access to. But in Buffalo, like we walk around Buffalo, and especially this last month with playoffs and everything, like people know the buzz and people know what's going on, and people know the guys on the team, and whether personally or as fans or whatever it may be, and like doing the video we did and showing people behind the scenes access and that kind of thing. I think it's only good for lacrosse, but especially the Bandits and us here in Buffalo. So I think it's everything we're doing is good things, and hopefully it keeps growing.
I still feel like YouTube dropped the ball on making that what we wanted it to be. Like I feel like if Instagram would have let us do what we intended to do, I feel like it would have went so much further, because a lot of people, like especially on stuff like that, like you have to go through like age restrictions now on YouTube. So like if you're not logged in on YouTube, you can't watch that video.
Oh really?
Yeah. So because if it were to be changed to like there's an option when you're uploading a YouTube video if it's kid friendly, which it is.
Right.
But with that being said, it takes off comments. So people can't relate or interact with it in any way. You can literally just watch it. So you have to do that. So it's like if, let's say, somebody's just scrolling through, or like, you have, a lot of the older fans who probably don't know what YouTube is, but, can easily click a link and have access to it. But, you can't expect them to have a YouTube account, so they don't get to watch the video.
Right.
So it's like...
Interesting.
I feel like, it still, did well, especially from like everybody who I've spoken to about it, or people who have come up to me and talked about it. But as far as like what we wanted to do with it, it was just like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, and that whole day was a mess. And it was like, it wasn't a time crunch until it became a time crunch, because like it was such a, like, you thought would be like a walkthrough, and all of a sudden Instagram's like, no. We can't.
Well, yeah, we're gonna do it like the Friday, right?
Yeah.
Where I practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like sending you like my login info.
Yep.
I was like, here, just figure. I don't know. Like, I gotta go. I got film. I got practice, and then obviously it didn't work out on Instagram. But I feel like we'll be able to still get like cool clips, and like keep in the off season, like keep going back to it and doing stuff. And now I guess now we know. With Instagram for the future, if we want to do something.
Yeah, we gotta keep it short and sweet. Which was the goal anyway.
Yeah.
So I can take the blame at that. But I just felt like as much, like I probably told you 100 times, as much context as we can add to this, especially because a lot of times it was just straight work. It wasn't like, we're sitting there in the middle of doing something, talking to the camera, trying to break everything down. So it's just like trying to fill the gaps with everything. That's where, I went from trying to do something that was 10 minutes long to 30 in the snap of a finger. But like as you watch it, you understand how much more sense that makes. Because like even so, believe it or not, there's actually a longer version of it. Yeah. But like from watching that, like it's like, okay, we can cut a little bit of stuff out, but it's like if we take out any more, there's kind of going to be like gaps and missing pieces, to where it's just kind of like hard to kind of make it a full thing. But the way that we finessed that to all make sense too. Yeah.
Turned out clean. Everyone I had talked to who watched it had only good things to say about it. So, and it's funny, like I know because obviously like we do cryo so much, and Vino's kids, they're not allowed on YouTube, they said, but they were allowed to watch that video. Mm-hmm. And the cryo, they were calling it a tub, and they were asking why I was always getting in the tub. So like it's just funny to like see other people like watch it and their reactions to it, and their understanding of it and everything. I think all turned out well, and like I said, it's only been good things.
Did you expect your teammates to watch it?
Even if they didn't, I expected to get chirped about it. But that's kind of like what I was talking about earlier with like the building your brand. Like you kind of have to step outside that comfort zone and that box to like do these kind of things. And, I've always been someone inside that box, not really necessarily willing to, or at least like wanting to, but not knowing how to, and not knowing how to do it the right way. And like, I'm sure when you and Josh have talked about it, I know you guys have, because I've been in on some of those conversations, but like Josh used to do like the vlogging stuff, and it was like a fine line of like, you know, how much you put into it without it taken away from like your job and playing, and how much you like have a camera, whether it's the locker room or on the bus or whatever it may be. So, but all the guys that did watch it, again, had all good things to say. Like, you know, the next day Bucky came in the locker room and said that he watched it, and, you know, Paul Dawson said like a bunch of guys watched it and said it was pretty cool. And obviously I got the chirps along the way, which,
what were the chirps?
Which comes with the territory. Just kind of like, there weren't even anything like bad, just like chirping that like I was on a camera for a week straight. And like, you know, I got to give like Josh, Dane, Kluch, Chase, like those guys all credit too. Like the focus was me, but they were a big part of it too. Like we do everything together every day. So they were in it a lot. They had to be comfortable being around a camera. So, you know, credit to those guys too. But yeah, like I said, I think it all turned out real well. Yeah,
like we kind of went into that just like kind of pissing in the wind, really. And then next thing you know, like, you know, some guys were there, some guys weren't, and it was just like I would have liked to incorporate more, but then I just feel like it takes away from you. You know, it's like there you'd see like the brief parts where like, you know, Josh is in it and Dane, you know, and like I could have probably put Chase in there a little bit from that session we had at Full Circuit, or even Brad. Yeah. You know, but it's just like I wanted to do that so bad. Right. But it's just like then you kind of have to like have that kind of tell its own story. Right. So it's like I just try to keep it as vague as I can. But it's just like also like too, like that was like something I've always wanted to do in a sense, is like document something like that and be able to do it in that way to where like I'm pretty much like writing the script as far as like how I want it to be documented and then trying to perform it. And then that's why it's like, you know, we said 10 minutes, but like I had no idea how long it was going to be until I'm looking at the timeline and I'm like, we're still on day one. I'm like, dude, we're at 15 minutes already. Like, but I think it's dope. And I think like there's so many ways to go with that. And I also feel like that's a piece of content, even for myself, that, you know, you'll have forever, you know, and it's not just about like, you know, being an athlete and things like that. It's just like, that's like the kind of stuff like you can show your kids 100%. And stuff like that. And it's like, it's not going anywhere. Like, especially with it being on YouTube, like that's going to exist forever. And like people, you can look back on it and share it with people and just like, oh, like instead of just like feeling like, you know, I have a thing, it's like be where your feet are. And a lot of times we just live in the moment and just kind of go and go and go. And we don't ever have time to like kind of do shit for ourselves. And I feel like that, especially with the year that it was and like the way that, you know, this all came to fruition is just like a staple for the rest of your life.
100%. And like you said, not only is it for me, but it's for you too. And I feel like, you know, since we've met and like been doing all this, like I feel like it's been such a like organic partnership and friendship that we've grown into. Cause like, you know, it's not like a one-sided thing or like we're both benefiting from this. And like you said, like that being on YouTube and like for me, you know, my idol growing up was my uncle, and he's a professional lacrosse player in like the early 2000s. And, you know, obviously there was like games were on TV and streamed online and stuff, but the quality wasn't as good as it is now. And it's like, I think I've been able to find 2 games of my uncle, and I don't remember a ton of him playing as a kid growing up. So like, I don't have that ability to like go to YouTube and see these things, or, you know, back in the archives, whatever, like if you had DVDs or whatever. So, like in the moment you don't necessarily think about it, but like you bring it up, like that'll be there forever. And it's pretty cool. Like one day my kids will be able to see it, and you know, I can always go back and reflect on it and relive the glory days when I'm washed up and can barely walk from playing lacrosse. But, I think you're spot on. Like it's a pretty cool thing.
I feel like your parents enjoyed it more than we both did probably together.
100%. Like it's not a bad thing at all. My parents are incredibly proud of not only myself, but my brothers as well. And it's my mom and my dad aren't afraid to let you know that they're proud. And but like rightfully so. Like they're, you know, my mom's been around it. Like her brother was my uncle who played professional lacrosse, and you know, my dad's been around sports, you know, his whole life. So, but they're definitely fired up to be able to share that, and I'm sure they'll continue to share it more than I probably will. But
yeah. So it's like, now what do you do? do we like transfer over to Chaos and go about that, or you feel like that's hard? Well, you guys told me access for that's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like the thing about that is just like we're not in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like so it's hard to get like as much access as you did for the Bandits, but I mean, there's still like the behind the scenes stuff, the weekly. I mean, it's kind of the same stuff like training and working out and stuff, but I mean, I'm fair game for anything. I'm open for whatever, so.
Is it crazy how like you get like literally like a week off to kind of just relax and it's just like right back to it?
Dude, it's insane. It's not necessarily a bad thing because like as a competitor, like you're ready to just like you want to keep playing and you don't really want to stop, even though I'm sure your body like wants to. But leaving the NLL season and where I'm at now is the best I've ever felt physically after a season. You know, like going through as far as we did and winning a championship, like, and I think part of that is like a testament to like myself for like taking care of as I get older and deeper into my career. Like I realize the importance of, you know, working out, stretching, nutrition, like all that. So I've dialed that in way more. But, you know, going through a full NLL season and I'm going to have like 2-a-days and a week of training camp. I don't know if I don't know how much you can prepare for that, but at the end of the day, you're playing lacrosse and getting to do what you love. So it's never a bad day when you're playing lacrosse.
All right, so take me through Friday morning, first game of the finals in Albany. How is the mental going into that? Are you like kind of thinking ahead, or are you just trying to be complacent and be like, listen, we got to win this game before we worry about anything else?
Yeah, 100%. Like you're just trying to be present and focus at the task at hand. Obviously, there's the bigger goal of being in the championship and winning a championship, but you can't look too far ahead. So, you know, we bust down Thursday afternoon, faced a little adversity with, you know, bus being a little late, going right to practice when we were supposed to go to the hotel first. Just like minor things that are what they are. You just roll with the punches, but you know, we got to the arena. We were able to get our gear there. Went through a practice. Started preparing, watching film. Allowed us to get back to the hotel, chill, and then, you know, Saturday morning, just try to treat it like a normal game day, like nothing crazy. You don't want to get too excited because you'll let the emotions take over. So you just try to go through it like any normal game day, and but. You know, deep down, obviously there is the excitement, but just had our walkthrough, our meal. You know, it really was just, I keep saying it, but it really was just like a normal game day.
And then you guys do win. And then next day you guys are playing. How was that when you saw that scheduled?
So that was like the hardest part, was knowing that it's a back-to-back, that you're bussing, and not that game 2 was going to be a battle of like who can recover better, but like it
because you guys are essentially doing the same thing.
Yeah, we're going through the exact same thing. Like, can make all the excuses you want in the world, but both teams have to do it. It's a pretty level playing field in that sense. So there's the aspect of like who can recover better, but you know, you're also doing your job and playing a game and doing it to the best of your ability. So it was as soon as the game was over, it was, you know, excitement that we had won game 1 because, you know, in a best 2 out of 3, you have to win at least one in Albany, whether it's game 1 or game 3. You got to win one there. So to get that one, you know, set us up for a better chance, and to be able to win it at home potentially was obviously a bonus. But the locker room was like, let's get out here, get food, get on the bus, like less than an hour, get out of there, and let's hit the road. So, and then you're trying to get comfortable on a bus. You know, luckily, like guys the team did a great job. We had coolers full of water, BioSteels, drinks, protein shakes. You know, there's a meal after the game. Everything we needed was right there for us to take advantage of. Guys brought their own recovery tools. Like I had the Normatex. I was laying on the floor of the bus in the Normatex for like an hour, passing those around. Guys had the massage guns, you name it. So guys were cognizant of what was going on and taking care of our bodies and doing whatever we could. But the hardest part was sleep.
Yeah.
Because like you're so amped up from a game. then you're on a bus. It's hard to get comfortable. Like on a normal game day in Buffalo, like after a game, we go to Cobblestone, like you have a drink or two, go home. Like I don't fall asleep until 2:33, no matter what. So that's when we got home, and then it was trying to get sleep. I think I got maybe 4 hours of sleep, and then slept in a little bit more than I normally would on a game day. But like it was up to get to cryo, get to the arena. We did a walkthrough, watch film, and then you're just trying to not think about how tired you are, and again treat it like a normal game day.
And then you guys get to the game, and you guys come out hot. At what point were you like, we got this? Because at the end, kind of like there was a couple like little easy goals that they ended up getting to kind of make it seem like it was a close game, but I felt like it was very one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, we jumped out early. I don't know what the score got to, like maybe 5-2 or 4.
I think there was a point where you guys were up 5 or maybe even 6.
Yeah, early in the game?
I believe so.
I know in the first quarter, like we went up, and then you're still in the first quarter of the game, and it's still going to be a lacrosse game, and like it's super cliche, but it's true. Like it's a game of runs, so like they're going to score goals. They're going to go on their run. So it was like, how do you manage that within the game and limit their run as much as possible? And and then in the third quarter, we went on our second big run, and I think looking back at the box score, I think we won the third quarter 5-1. And it wasn't like, okay, we got this, because, again, anything can happen. But, you can kind of start to feel it and see it. The crowd's, insane and loud after every goal. And, they start to score a little bit in the fourth. And you're like, okay, we got to limit this, bad. And then, I mean, we took a penalty late in the game. And they were able to pull their goalie and get on a power play. And, I think it was a 5-goal difference with 3 minutes left, but that's doable in lacrosse. So it's until it was honestly, for me, it was they scored with 7 seconds left, and it was okay, if they win this face-off, they're gonna get another shot off. Whatever you can do to get the ball and make sure you close it out. And then selfishly, I got the last loose ball, and I grabbed it, and I was like, yeah, this is it, game over. So there was probably feelings throughout the game where I was okay, we're feeling good, but it was quickly close it out. We got to close it out. We got to close it out.
Were you do you feel like you were fighting your emotions because you guys were ahead so much, and you're like, man, I can't believe we really did this again? And then they started scoring a little bit, and you're like, okay, well, we got to kind of lock in to still. Or was it you had to keep the channel that same way the whole time until that?
For me, it was just trying to keep it the same way. As soon as you let those thoughts creep in, it's easy to take that deep breath and relax, and that's when they could go on their run. So it was, for me personally, it was understanding the situation and knowing where we were, and okay, yeah, we have a 5 or 6 goal lead, but we can't let them get within 2 or 3, that kind of thing. So until the buzzer went and we were celebrating, it didn't fully kick in.
Yeah. How hard is it to know, when you throw your gloves off and helmet, you're like, yeah, I'm probably not going to see that again?
Man, I got that last loose ball. And so, funny story, last year when we won, I had the ball to end the game. And, that one, there were different emotions. Obviously, excitement was, the main emotion. But, last year, it was kind of revenge on getting Colorado back. They'd beaten us the year before. Winning in Buffalo, all that. And I had the ball, and I remember watching the game back and putting I threw my gloves, but I tried to nicely put my stick down with the ball in it, and it I rolled out, and I never saw it again. And I think last year I lost my gloves, but I still got my helmet and stick back. This year when I got the loose ball, I didn't even care.
It was a yard sale.
I was I didn't even care how much time was left on the clock. I knew it was 7 seconds or less, and I got the loose ball. I ran behind the net, and if you watch the film, I grabbed the ball out of my stick right away, and I made sure to hold it in my hand. And then I threw my stick in my one glove, and I switched hands and threw my other glove, and then I was holding onto the ball. I eventually put it in my spandex, make sure I didn't lose it, and then celebrating with family. Cutting the net, taking the pictures, all that. it wasn't until I was about to go back in the locker room, I'm like, oh shit, where's my gear? And like, I didn't try to put it nicely. And like some guys, like I think if you watch Dawson, like he slowly takes everything off, puts it in the net.
Yeah, I see that.
And like he's celebrating.
Because I had like obviously as soon as like you guys were there, I was like firing, and like you can pretty much watch it almost like a video because that's how many pictures I take. And it's like you guys are jumping and celebrating. He's just like setting
slowly,
stuff in the
like
net.
calmly doing it. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? But luckily, all my stuff was still there. And
do you think people take it?
I mean, there's so many people that come on the floor, and like whether you're supposed to be or not, like I know you're supposed to get a wristband or if you're credentialed or whatever.
Well, they didn't care about me.
But like my gloves from last year were gone. I got no idea where they were. So, and like I really, for me, big things, helmets and sticks. Like gloves, like they're all white blank gloves, like nothing crazy about them. But like a helmet, you know, especially this year, like with having the Tommy sticker on it in the finals, like that's something really cool to have. And you know, when I get my jerseys framed, like I'll have my sticks with my jerseys too, and that kind of thing. So those two things were big things to make sure I had.
So you did it. What is like the emotion from last year to this year? Is it any different, or is it just kind of like you feel like it's just a new normal now, or is it just like we have to go even harder now next year?
It was definitely different, kind of like what I was mentioning before, like playing Colorado again and trying to get revenge on them, and the way we won, like winning by how much we did. Like that game in the fourth quarter, like we kept scoring and like we were up by like 8 or 9 goals, and like I was getting emotional during the fourth quarter because I was like, holy shit, we did it. But it's like you still got to close out the game, but it's like with 5 minutes left, we knew we were winning that thing. Like it was like game over. Whereas this year it was like same thing, like I was mentioning, the game's going on. They score a couple goals. We have a penalty. Like you got to make sure you close it out. And then once the buzzer went, it was like the emotion, like really took over. And I didn't know how I would react, and I don't think anyone really does. But like looking back and seeing pictures of it, it's like that's like how you were supposed to react for winning a championship. Yeah. Like just like the emotion of like 2 years ago, it was like, thank God, finally we did it. And this year was kind of like, holy shit, we did it again. Like almost like disbelief that like we actually went back to back and like we really did it. And like, so that was probably like the main difference.
Yeah. See, I had this huge expectation of how it was going to go for me, and it went the complete opposite after like the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's how it was.
They were just like shitting on me, bro. It was weird out of nowhere. So like I was already having an off game, so I was at hole 2, which is bench side, the side where the game ended.
Yeah,
and my chair broke. So like I remember the first game, I didn't bring a chair because I didn't know. I never shot through a photo hole, and like I had to sit like on my legs. And I like would stand up, and I couldn't walk for like 5 minutes until my legs came back. Yeah. And I literally told myself I would rather not do that again than like do it. Right. Like I'm like there's no way I can do it. Like so my chair broke, and I'm like, you know what? And this was at half, so I'm like the third, you guys were scoring on this end, so I'm like I'll get as much content as I can, and then the fourth, I'm just gonna go to the tunnel. So when that door opens, I'll kind of come out there and obviously shoot right. Pictures. So, you know, I get up, I go to the corner or whatever, and guy comes up to me, he's like, you got credentials? I'm like, yeah. And that's the only day I didn't bring my lanyard, so I had it in my bag. So I showed him, he's like, okay, you got to have it exposed at all times. I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
Like, so whatever, he saw that I had it, so I'm shooting there or whatever, and you can just tell, like, the game's it's like 2 minutes left. Every media person's in the tunnel now, like all the camera guys, the people that I know and everything. And it's just like, wow, this is happening. Like I already put my bag down, I switched my lens. I already know what I'm going to do when I get out there. Guy goes, just, you know, you're going to have to leave once because you're not allowed to go out there. And in my head, I'm like, why am I not allowed to go out there? Like, what's stopping me from going out there?
Right.
I'm like, I have a credential. And he's like, no, that's just a credential to get in the building. I'm like, dude, this is legit a media credential. Like, it literally says photo, the day's date, like,
right.
And he's just like, no, you're not allowed to go out there. And I'm like, I wasn't to the point where I was going to like ask the people who I know who were in there, because it was just like, I don't know. I felt like it was desperate.
Right.
And I was just like, Like, damn. So, like, that just threw a whole wrench into, like, the way I envisioned it. Because, like, I was emotional and, like, you know, excited. Like, especially, like, you guys were in the corner. Zach's fucking fighting this dude in the corner. And I'm just like, dude, it's, like, getting to the end. Like, and I'm just, like, getting excited. And the next thing you know, the dude's like, yeah, you got to go. So I'm, like, in my head, I'm like, I don't even know where to go. Like, where do I go?
What do I do?
Like, you know, so, like, they're like, and it's, like, to the point where he told me when there's, like, 40 seconds left. So I'm, like, I don't have time to go anywhere.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm taking this rail off and I'm going right here. So he's like, yeah, go ahead. So, like, they hurry up, let me get that off. So then I went over to photo hole 10, which is the opposite of 2. And I'm just standing there. And then you guys are celebrating. And I'm just, like, doing as much as I can. And, like, the only reason I went there is because I just expected a lot of the guys to go there with whatever they were doing to celebrate, because I know families are there.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, well, at least I can do that. So then I kind of do that, and it didn't seem to kind of go that way. Obviously, you guys were just, you know, embracing it as a team, and you guys obviously would look over there, but nobody came over there. So I'm like, dude, the fact that I'm not, like, documenting any of this right now is, like, pissing me off, because it's like, you got to think, like, that's obviously the end goal.
Right.
Like, especially for, like I brought my laptop to that game, and I never brought my laptop to any game.
Oh, really?
Like before you guys even went to warm up, like, I already edited, like, you guys walkout pictures, and I had them on social media and shit, because I was just like, I intended to do the same. Like I said, I manifested you guys winning it. So, like, you guys, I want you guys to still be celebrating out there, and I can, like, give you guys this content before you guys even go. So it's like that went out completely out the window, and it was just like, and I'm just, like, kind of, like, sitting at the, like, watching through the glass, like, frustrated, because it's like, this is not how I wanted this to be or how it's supposed to go.
Right.
Because it's like, and then in my head, I'm like, why can't I be out there? And then I've only been on the family and friends list once, but they've always let me in there because I have a credential.
Right.
Like, I've never had an issue. Like, oh, you're fine. So then I'm, like, watching everybody go to the field, and I'm thinking, like, why can't I go out to the field? Because if it's obviously family and friends,
right,
why can't I do it? But, like, you could tell they were being a lot more strict based off the situation. So, like, I seen everybody else had wristbands, but I would assume the family and friends does too, even though I feel like it's just a name thing. But
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure they emailed, like, I'm pretty sure Sarah got an email from someone on the team being like, who would they want out there? Kind of thing. I think, like, I didn't deal with any of that. So, like, for me, my family being out there, like, so I expected to be out there, but, like, I didn't know who was going to get the access.
Yeah, because I'm, like, watching everybody, and, like, I was, like, waiting, because I'm like, if he's going to be, like, that way with me, he's going to continue to be that way.
Right.
So, like, I'm, like, kind of staring at the line, like, waiting to see Sarah so I can be like, hey, like, tell them I'm with you or whatever. And I'm like, no, because then, like, I'd have to do that interaction in front of everybody, because it was, like, security down the whole walkway for them to come in. So I'm just like, I'm just going to stay here. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, maybe, like, you'll come over there to greet them or something, and I'll try to get your attention and try to, you know, finesse it that way. And then that never happened. And then I'm just sitting there kind of like I'm pretty sure, like, probably at least 10 of the guys could get me out there. Yeah. So I'm, like, waiting for one of them to come by. And then, like, you can see, like, people were handing, like, their bracelets off to people through the hole and stuff. And I just got so frustrated that, like, I wasn't able to, like, do my job and, like the way I wanted to kind of, like, make it full circle for me. So I'm like, I'm going. So I'm like, I walk through, sorry guys, whatever. Everybody's super cool. The cops let me, sheriffs let me through. And actually, I'm, like, to, like, the like, offside line. And I just turn around and I just see the same dude that told me I couldn't go out there.
Come on.
Yeah, and he kicks me off. So I'm like, I literally work for Ian. Like, this is my job. And he's like, no, you have to get a wristband. I'm like, I have a credential.
Right.
And he's like, no, that's not a proper credential. And I'm like so frustrated. But I was like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm really about to get disrespectful because, like, I don't know. I was just like, whatever. And I'm just, like, sitting there. So I'm like, can I just wait here for him then? He's like, yeah, that's fine. So I'm sitting there waiting for you, whatever. And I'm just like, you know, a couple of the guys walk by. Like, I don't really know Kyle well. I've never spoke to him. I've given him, like, pictures of him and his family on, like, Instagram. We've just had interactions. But, you know, he just knuckles me. And I'm like, I'm not about to ask him for a favor, because that's how I feel. Like, I don't like to ask for favors. And
is that what it is?
It's so I'm just sitting there. You know, Kyle come up to me. You know, congratulations, whatever. And then Josh comes. He's like, what the hell are you doing out here? And I'm like, they ain't letting me out there. And he's like, psh. So yeah, he's with me. And they're like, I don't care. And I'm just like, that's crazy.
This was the guy said to Burnsy?
Yes.
No way.
And he's like, I don't care. I was like, bro, you just told me to wait for him, and now you're telling me not to. He's like, yeah, I told you to wait for him so you can leave. Like, he's like, I was never gonna let you out there. So I'm like I'm like super pissed off. And like Josh started giving him an attitude. So I'm like, cool, because I'm about to do the same thing.
Right.
And then he's just like, because I think what was happening is Josh's fiance broke her band to give to her father.
Got it.
And he was trying to come down, and like they seen the whole.
Yeah.
So like they were being like super like weird with him. So then he's like, who do I got to talk to get him out here? He's like, you got to ask your boss. And he's like, who's my boss? And he's like, Scott. So he's like, Scott walked right by. Scott, let me get bracelets. Right in the dude's face. Gave him a bracelet, whatever. And like the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like I literally was probably counting to 10 to where I was gonna lose it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know you from somewhere. And I'm like, no, you don't. In my head. And then he's looking, he's like, you come through my gate for security for the bills. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to be nice at that point. I'm just like, yeah, man, it's like whatever. Like, hopefully I'm not too drunk or whatever. Yeah. Just thinking like, he'd be like, dude, just go ahead.
Right.
And then he started giving Josh an attitude. I'm just like, this is not real. Because I'm thinking like, you would think that like the athletes would have more pull than anybody.
Right.
Like, and like he was just like, not like, I don't want to fault it because it's like obviously he's just doing his job, and you would respect that he would be doing his job because you can imagine if somebody
everyone's probably sit down
exactly
something, yeah.
So like whatever. So like then I finally get out there and I'm just like how do I enjoy this moment because my blood pressure is so high and frustrated from what I just had to deal with for the last 20 minutes. So it's just like let's just have a beer.
Yeah. Well, when you eventually came over, I was like, oh like not that I like didn't think that you would like not be out there, but I was like, wait, I feel like I've seen like everyone taking pictures and stuff, and when I saw you, like it registered with me. I was like, wait, you just got out here, like. Yeah. And now you telling me that story, it makes sense because when you like came over,
it was like I was already over.
Well, it was like definitely late in the celebration, but like you were heated, like you could tell, like in the moment. I obviously didn't know all that, but you telling the story, it makes sense now that like, and then you were fine, like we had a beer and like shotgun the beer. Well, I attempted to, and so it makes sense now. But
like I was going through my options because I'm like, it was so easy to find. Was it your grandfather had your green jersey on? Yeah. So it's so easy. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to walk all the way around the arena to get your attention and be like, can you like help me out in some way? Yeah. But that's when I was like, I'm gonna try it. And then I went down there and I was literally, if Josh didn't come out, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna go walk around and go over there. But I was just like, dude, I can't believe this is like happening. And then like when I was leaving, I was like, I feel like he's gonna not let me like leave through the tunnel because like that's where I park. Right. So he was like, no, go ahead. He's like, good to see you. And I'm just like, yo,
best friends.
All right, man.
Yeah.
But it's like I also told him like I appreciate you doing your job because I can only imagine like that's why I'm like I'm definitely getting like a legit like green media pass so I don't have to deal with that ever again. And I don't feel like I'd have an issue doing that because of like the way that I try to bring content around. I don't think that'll be an issue. But how frustrated were you that they took your goal away?
I'm pissed at Weiser.
And I'm like so mad because like that was like the one I finally got to where it was like it was picture framed perfect in the center. And then like I'm just like, why is he not celebrating? And then I just see the guys like run down the field and I'm just like, oh.
Well, so I guess give credit to Nick Weiss. Like he was with me on it and he tried to set a pick on the guy to free me up, which worked. But then Weiser just can't control himself and went through the crease. But when I scored, I mean, I did celly, but it wasn't like it was
very weird because he was celebrating with you.
Hands up in the air. And like Albany's goalie, Doug Jameson, is an incredible goalie, and I've played with him in the summer, and we're friends away from lacrosse. But like in the moment when you're in the arena, it's friends off, and I was like screaming, like I don't know, like if you could see my face in a picture you got, but I was like mother effing I'm good. And then like I just see the ref like no goal and Weiser's hugging me. Yeah. And I like pushed Weiser away to like because usually they just blow the play back in and get going. And I don't know why they stopped it, maybe to get the clock right or something, but they ended up blowing the play down. But I was like pushing Weiser to get back to the bench and make sure we got our D guys out.
Yeah, because I feel like as soon as you shot it, you kind of like put your arms down and we're like kind of like, but I was like wondering if it was like a celebration to where you're just like kind of like this because that's what it looked like. And then I seen we celebrating and then I seen you not celebrating anymore. And like, cause he was like kind of hugging you and like you were like throwing his arms off of you.
Like pushing him away. Yeah. I mean, I was just screaming at Dougie and then I heard no goal. You can kind of hear the crowd too. Cause like everyone's like, it's like the excitement cheer. And then it's like the like not like sigh, but it's like a different like tone,
Mm-hmm.
and you can hear like 19,000 people. You can hear like the difference, and then you like see the ref do a no goal.
Did you
So
see the
it's like,
fans almost fight Buddy in the penalty box?
no.
Bro, like they were chirping him like crazy in there. There was like this one kid who was in the front, like screaming at him through the crack, and you could tell like he was getting to him.
Yeah.
And then there was a gentleman behind him who was talking shit too, and he squirted the water bottle over the glass to him, and dude like flipped out. He took his Coke bottle, took the top off, he was gonna dump it over. Luckily, there was like one of the ushers down there, and like they were like going over the rail. He was like, because him and Dane were chirping because they
So
were both.
that's when Dane. Did you see Dane in the box?
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, Dane gets. He's very good at keeping his emotions in check, but he's like pointing up at like the rafters, like at the banner and like the scoreboard and stuff. And he was like, I saw that from the bench, and I was like,
I thought they were gonna fight when they
this
came
guy
out by
doing?
how like crazy, but I'm like, there's no way Dane's about to drop these
Yeah.
gloves in a game like this.
Crazy.
But like they were going in. Like it was like I'm surprised that whoever the security guy was there was letting what was happening happen.
Right.
Because like
It's like an old
they weren't like
thing.
they weren't like I get it. Like obviously if someone squirts you with water, you're gonna be pissed no matter who it is, let alone a player's doing it to you. And like the guy felt it was right to just return the favor. So like he just starts opening his Coca-Cola. And he's gonna dump it on him, and I'm just like they were gonna fight, like because he thought he was gonna come over the glass, so he stood up and everything.
He's right, yeah.
But it was just
I
like
didn't see that.
it was nuts. The
all I
crowd
saw
was involved.
Dane. All
Like
I saw was Dane. I was like, trying not to laugh too hard on the bench. But
I was just wondering how they can hear each other with how loud that arena was.
Dane and their player.
Yeah.
There's no glass. I don't think there's glass in between.
There's double because it's glassed in for the reviewing area.
I think if there's any glass, I think there's one piece because I've been in there and I've been yelling through. I think there might be glass on.
There's one on their side and one on yours.
Oh, maybe there is too.
Because there's the separate entrance where they go to review a play, and then the next box is your guys' penalty box, and the opposite one is them.
Right.
So there is double. It's just
I didn't think there was with ours because like we have the in-home official, like the shot clock guy, and then like.
And he's there though. You got so like when you go to the seat for pregame, you walk through the door that closes, which makes the glass.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. You probably know better than I do. I try to stay out of that place.
Yeah, right. But no, that was definitely a game to remember for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually probably frame that credential.
Why not? It gave you such a hard time. It's a good
story. Right. Too. I have to add like a note, like just
do you have
remember
someone's bracelet.
Like, I do actually. It actually just fell off my desk. I'm gonna have to put that in there as well. But appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for sharing your story to glory. Sorry
if the audio is not very good with my voice coming back.
No, we're fine. It just means that like people know that when this podcast was.
It was a real good party.
Yeah, one of the questions that did come through is you inviting me to 40 Thieves, and I get there and you're not there. So.
Dude, that was 6 hours of sleep.
But how long did you sleep the next day?
Like 14 hours. I went home from 40 on Sunday. I fell asleep at like 5 o'clock. I woke up at I think 9 the next on Monday, just straight through gas.
Yeah, we were surviving the nightmare that day.
Dude, back-to-back games.
Yeah.
4 hours of sleep that night, and then we partied. I left an establishment at 6:30 in the morning.
I tried to do myself a favor by leaving on Saturday night, and I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Like I wear the whoop, and my thing the next day said no sleep, and it said an hour 50 nap.
Yeah.
And then we had to go to the party in the Plaza Sunday and keep going.
How was that?
I'm not mad about it.
How was the party in the Plaza thing?
Oh, it was unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
You guys came in on a fire truck?
Yeah, it's a different setup than last year. Like they drove us around on fire trucks. We walked through. They had like an orange carpet, high-fiving, autographs, taking pictures. Then we went back into the arena, and then they brought us back out for the stage. And it was kind of like a free-for-all. Like it was. Chris Swenson's unbelievable at his job, and he was keeping the crowd entertained and getting the chants going and everything. And we weren't sure if we were getting called up by number, and then we all just kind of came up on the stage together, and no one really had anything planned. He just kind of pulled guys up and was asking questions and interviewing. And I don't know if you've seen the clips, but Weiser had a good one, and Paul Dawson.
I've seen that one.
Paul Dawson went Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Farrell did that after the game too.
Told him no, he's not leaving. So it was unreal. And then we were in the locker room for a bit, drinking, smoking cigars, and then made our way to 40 from there.
Is there like an actual parade, or was that kind of, you think it?
I think that was it. I'm not 100% sure. I know we've been getting a ton of requests to do appearances, and like last year we did the parade up to a Bison's game. I think they don't throughout the next couple of weeks they don't play at home a ton or something.
They said the lacrosse night there is June 27th.
Yeah, so I think like a bunch of us will be there for that. But yeah, we're just getting a ton of like requests to do appearances and all that. So, but I don't know if they plan on doing a parade or like an actual parade or what. But if they want to give us more excuses to party and celebrate, none of us will say no.
Fair enough. Hopefully, I'll get a credential for that one.
Get you the right wristband.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I wonder how that would have worked out if I would have went to the party thing. I feel like that would have went through the same thing.
Probably.
So.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to experience that.
I got there, so.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming in for round 2. Back-to-back champion. And thanks for watching. And also shout out to Picasso's for sponsoring this podcast.
I can't take no loss.